He had a great career at General Motors, starting with Saab and going to GM and Opel and back to GM. And now he's somewhere none of us know. He's in the middle of Russia. But what he is doing there is next to remarkable. And he's got a great story to tell. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this evening Bo Anderson of Gaz.
Tonight I want you to leave with two things. I want you to have a better understanding of Russia, the strengths of Russia, and make you a little bit more curious about Russia. Secondly, I want you to leave with understanding that Gaz is the oldest Russian automobile maker, and we are the best. Russia. How many visited Russia? How many is planning to go back? Nine time zones, 142 million people, 82 regions with strong governors, presidents that makes most of the decisions. Appointed by our president, Mr. Putin. So no elections, but hand-picked and appointed. And if they do well, they stay. If they don't do well, they get fired. If you look at debt level to GDP, we have 11%, so it's not a big problem. Every day, our revenue for export sales of oil is $1 billion at today's oil price. Every day, our oil revenue export is $1 billion based on today's oil price. We now go into growth. 4.2% GDP growth in 2011, 3.7% in 2012. Our president, Mr. Putin, has decided that it will be 3.3% in 2013. So it will be. I have it on paper. I like it. Vehicle sales. 2011, 40% up. We had a very tough year in 2009. The market dropped 50%, but 2011, 40%. I checked my numbers earlier today. Real numbers for 2012, 11.6%. It's hard to measure in Russia, but officially reported today, 11.6% up, 2.8 million vehicles sold. 271 vehicles per 1,000 people. This is a country with a lot of roads. Most people have a small summer house, what we call a dacha. To go there, you need to have a car, or, what I like better, you need to take the bus. Because we are the largest producer of buses. We do 60 large buses a day. That makes us the 5th largest bus maker in the world. An average bus takes 1,200 hours to make. And we do everything. Middle class. What I like about Russia is, in the newspapers you can write whatever you want. Our president even stimulates that. You can write that he's an idiot. In TV you cannot do anything because he controls that. Why? 66% of the people living in the regions, they only watch TV. They have no computer and they don't read newspapers. So middle class is on the rise. To be middle class in Russia, you need to make $1,000 a month. Putin likes me. And he's saying, Bo, you know, you're a smart guy. And I say I'm a former officer. Said officers are never former, we are always officers. But he said, why can you not give up your US passport? It disturbs me. And this French guy that gave up his French passport to get a flat tax of 13%. I still keep my US passport and I'm happy to pay both taxes. In Florida and in Russia. And they pay me a lot, so I can afford it. Because when I negotiated my contract, the oligarch said, you want to have 1% of the profit in a company losing $1 billion? I said, yes. He said, you got it. That's Russia. I would say the districts are very different. In the old saying in history, we used to say that St. Pete is the brain. It used to be Swedish. Sweden lost it in 1702 after 22 years of war. We lost it again in 1709, and finally we lost it in the peace in Poltava 1710. But Sweden, or St. Pete, used to be the brain. Moscow used to be the heart. That's where we have all cultural activities. Nizhny Novgorod, my new hometown, used to be the purse, because that's where everything was produced, mainly military stuff. 1985, Russia had a big problem. Soviet Union had a big problem. Why? The Saudis decided to float the oil price. That gave Soviet Union a shortfall of $20 billion overnight. They had three options. One was to stop to support the satellite states with free or inexpensive oil, not shipping oil to Eastern Germany, Poland, Czech Republic. They said we cannot do that because then we lose them. 2 years later they lost them anyway. Secondly, they said let's stop support bread and corn and all this type of stuff. Bread in Russia is extremely inexpensive. They said then we will have a big problem. Third, they said we can cut military expense. Then they said it doesn't work because 40% of the industry is military. So what did they decide to do? Do nothing, and that created the crisis. All according to Russian history. Car market. 2012, 2.8 million vehicles were sold. These are the 6 top players. Afterwards, owned by the government and by Renault Nissan. They have a lot of employees. Volkswagen number 2, GM number 3, Kia Honda 4 and 5, and Toyota number 6. What vehicles are mostly sold? The top 3 positions are Ladas. These are interesting vehicles, boxy design, but they cost less than $10,000. And besides the paint, the vehicles are the same as 30 years ago, but they're cheap. Number 4 is a Hyundai Solaris, B-class vehicle, very nice vehicle, $20,000. And number 5 is a Ford Focus, very popular in Russia. Other interesting fact, Mercedes-Benz sold 37,000 Mercedes-Benzes last year. BMW, 27,000 BMWs. And Audi, 33,000 Audis. So a lot of luxury vehicles are being sold, and it's increasing. Another trend, last year the Chinese came back. So we had 100,000 Chinese vehicles being sold, mainly Chery, Geely, and Great Wall. They disappeared in 2008 because they didn't have service parts. Now they're back.